Hey everyone, gather round, because I've got a story for you. It's a lesson my grandparents taught me, a rule passed down through generations, born from a chilling night deep in the woods. This is the story of why you should never ever open the door after midnight when you're staying at the cabin. Our family cabin isn't fancy. It's tucked away in the mountains, surrounded by nothing, but whispering pines and the kind of silence that feels heavy. It's my happy place. But even happy places have their shadows. The number one rule, the one my grandpa would repeat until it was burned into my brain, was simple. After the clock strikes 12, that door stays shut, no matter what you hear. For years, I just accepted it. It was just one of those quirky family traditions. But one summer, when I was about 16, I finally asked my grandma why. Her expression changed. The warm smile she always wore faded, and she looked out the window, back into the past. She told me a story about her own grandparents, back when the cabin was new and the wilderness felt a lot wilder. It was a brutal winter, the kind that buries everything in a thick blanket of white. A blizzard had been raging for 2 days straight, trapping them inside. The wind howled like a hungry animal, and the old logs of the cabin groaned under the pressure. It was well past midnight when the knocking started. It wasn't a frantic, desperate knock. It was slow, rhythmic. Thump, thump, thump. My great-grandfather, a practical and fearless man, went to the door. My great-grandmother begged him not to. "Nothing good is out in this storm at this hour," she pleaded. But he was worried it was a lost traveler. He grabbed his heavy lantern, unlatched the bolt, and pulled the heavy wooden door open. Standing on the porch wasn't a person. The lantern light flickered, casting long, dancing shadows. What he saw was tall, impossibly thin, with limbs that were too long and bent at strange angles. It was covered in what looked like wet, dark fur, and its eyes, he said they glowed with a faint pale light, like two distant moons. It didn't speak. It just stood there, tilting its head, the rhythmic thumping coming from one of its long fingers tapping against the doorframe. My great-grandfather was frozen in place for a second, a cold dread washing over him that had nothing to do with the blizzard. He slammed the door shut, fumbling with the bolt, his heart pounding in his chest. The knocking stopped. He and my great-grandmother didn't sleep a wink that night, huddled by the fire, listening to the storm and a silence that felt even more terrifying. When morning came and the blizzard had passed, he cautiously opened the door. The world was pristine, covered in a fresh, undisturbed layer of snow. There were no footprints, no tracks, no sign that anything had been on their porch at all. It was as if the creature had simply vanished into the air. They never knew what it was. A trick of the light, a hallucination brought on by isolation, or something else. Something ancient that walks the woods when the world is asleep. They never opened the door after midnight again, and neither have we. Some things are better left unknown, on the other side of a locked door. So, if you ever find yourself in a cabin deep in the woods and you hear a knock after midnight, just remember my story. Keep the fire going and wait for the sun to rise. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Stay safe out there. Hey.